Hello everyone, this is the first lesson recording for IM1, March 2nd, 2021. What you're seeing here is a picture of what's happening at Prospect campus. The Student Union building is being demolished and when they're putting up a new one. So as you can see, there are cranes going on and they're cleaning up. It was quite a sight apparently when the whole building came down. That happened last week or maybe the week before, I can't remember. What is it going to look like? It's going to look beautiful like this. And this is another view. And this is the interior view. Something to look forward to. Hopefully the school will start soon. Okay, so warm up. I would like you to pause this video and see if you can solve these problems without the calculator. What is 25% of 48? What is 30% of 450? What is 1% of 23? And what is 5% of 320? Here we go. To do number one, 25% of anything. 25% means half of another half, right? So we can take half of 48, which is 24, and then divide that again, which is going to give you 12. What is 30% of 450? Well, 10% of 450 is 45. You move the decimal place by 1 to the left. Then you need to multiply that by 3. You can multiply 45 by 3 by doubling it and then adding another 45 to it or multiplying it by 3 quickly in your head. That's going to be 135. What is 1% of 23? It's like moving the decimal places 2 places to the left because you're dividing by 100, so that's going to be 0.23. What is 5% of 320? You have two different options. One is to figure out what is 10%. 10% is you move the decimal place 1 to the left, that's 32. And to find 5%, 5% is half of 10%, so half of 32 is going to be 16. I'm sorry, this is a typo, it should be 16. Alright, so let's start with some announcements. Quiz number 3 is going to be on next class, and it's going to be on exponential functions and recognizing and graphing table and situation of linear, exponential, or neither. And percentage, and so you should be very familiar with homework number 12 and homework number 13. That's the last two homework, and also Avi and Benita's workshop Desmos. Goal for the day, we are going to be looking at more exponential function situations. So just some more percentage work that we did not get to last lesson. So working with percentages level 4. If you're trying to figure out what is 42% of 50, notice that 42 is kind of an awkward number. It's kind of in between. While as 50 is a very easy number. Okay, so how would we do that? Is there a simple way? This is same as 50% of 42. Just because we are multiplying the two numbers, and remember multiplication is commutative, that means you can swap the order. So just the same way 2 times 4 is same as 4 times 2. We can swap the order, and so we can think of this as 50% of 42, which is really easy. We just need to split the 42 into half, so that's going to be 21. What about this? 8% of 25. How do I figure that out? Well, this is same as 25%. 25 is an easy number or nice number. 8 is not so nice, but we can think of this as 25% of 8. That means half of another half. So half 8, that's going to be 4, and half of that is going to be 2. So 8% of 25 is just 2. What about estimating 7.25% of 68? Notice it says estimate. I don't need it accurate. I need it close enough. Okay, close enough. So in that case, I am going to round 7.25% to be 7%. Okay, and 68, I can run that up to be close to 70. So I can think of it as it's going to be close to 7% of 70. So it's going to be 0.7 or I can think of it as 0.7 times 0.7, which is 4.9. What about estimating 7.25% of 400? Again, I can think of this 7.25 because we're talking about estimating, not exact. 7.25% at 7%, and 7% of 400, you move the decimal places of 2 to the left. So that's going to be 4. 4 times 7 is going to be 28. So some additional notes. Okay, so if you're finding 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, the whole numbers like that, then you, to find 10%, find the 10% and then multiply that by 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever. Okay, what about 2%, 3%, 7%, 8%? You first find the 1% and then multiply that by 2 or 3 or whatever. If you're multiplying a nice number by an ugly percentage, you can swap the percentage and the number. So for example, 68% of 25 is same as 25% of 68. What if you have ugly number and ugly percentage? Then the closest you can do mentally is just to estimate using the nearest nice number. Okay, so that's going to be like 45% of 82 is a bit less than 50% of 82, so it's less than 41. Alright, you're going to do some review work on decimals, card number 1 to 7. Please start with that. A quick check-in as to how things are going for you on a 1 to 9 rubber duck scale. How are you doing today? Are you floating high, ready to tackle the day? Or are you feeling like you are sinking and sinking and sinking? Okay, so number 9 will be you're not doing so well. Number 1 is I am doing fantastic, and tell me more. Okay, so you can draw on it. You can draw a big circle like I am doing pretty good today, like here. Battery remaining. Here's a battery from a smartphone. Estimate the percentage that is remaining. What do you think? Well, it looks like halfway will be about here. Okay, and it looks like more than half. What did you say? Maybe about 60%. So enter your number without the percentage symbol. So I might enter like 60. Okay, so because this is 50 and that's 100, I could say maybe 55 or 50. Draw a picture to show there are 25% of battery remaining. That means what do I need to do? 25% is half of a half. So this is approximately half. And half of that will be maybe about here. So I am going to draw down here. This is going to be my battery. Okay, draw on the picture to show that there are 20% of milk remaining in the carton. Okay, 20%. 20% is same as 1/10 or 1/5, right? Or I can think of it as 1/10 multiplied by 2. So I can divide this into maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So maybe 20% will be somewhere like this. So this is my 20% of milk remaining. Which of the following are equivalent to 20% of milk in carton? 20% is same as 20 over 100. So I can think of this as 20 percent is always going to be over 100. 20 divided by 100. I can always divide the top and bottom by 10 to simplify. So if I divide top and bottom by 10, that's going to be 2 over 10. So this will be correct. And if I can further divide this by another 2 over 2. So you're dividing by 10 first and then dividing by 2. That's going to be 1 over 5. So that's going to be 1 over 5 is also correct. 0.2 of milk carton. 0.2 is same if 20%. If I convert this to decimal, that's going to be same as, you need to move the decimal place 2 to the right. So that's going to be 0.20 or 0.2 is also correct. 20 ounces of milk in carton. Well, we don't know how many ounces the carton contains, so we don't really know that for sure. 20 over 100 would also be equivalent. 1/2 of the milk carton. Half of the milk carton is 50%. So that's not true. And 0.02 is 2%. So that is not going to be correct. Okay, so card number 6, a carton of milk has 24 ounces. And calculate how much is 35% of the milk. What do we do to figure out 35%? Well, 35% of the milk, you can think of it as finding the 1% and then multiplying 35 to that, or multiplying 0.35 to 64. So you can think of it as 0.35 multiplied by 64, because 35%, when you convert it to decimal, it's going to be 0.35. It is like moving the decimal places 2 to the left. Okay, 0.35 of 64 is going to be, using the calculator, and that's going to be 22.4. So I know that 1% of 64 ounces is 0.64. So you multiply that by 35 is what I did. Alright, card number 7. To make her hot chocolate, Nina poured out 4 ounces from 64 ounce milk carton. Calculate what percentage of milk did she pour out. So she poured out 4 ounces out of the 64%. Now remember, percentage is always part over whole. What is the part that she poured out? She poured out 4 ounces. And what is the whole? That's going to be 64 ounces. Notice that the units cancel out as well, and you're left with 4 divided by 64, and that is going to be 4 divided by 64, and that is going to be 0.0625. Now this is in decimal. Okay, how do I convert this into percentage? This is just decimal, so how do I convert this into percentage? That is by moving the decimal place 2 places to the right. So now the new percentage decimal is right there, which is equivalent to 6.25%.